Good afternoon. It's yet another Wednesday, and today happens to be the 16th of July, 2025. Oh, well, I don't know. Sometimes I'm futuristic, sometimes I am taken back. But, well, from the montage, for those of you watching us via Topstar Channel 91, you could see that it is Wednesday, and Wednesday, of course, is the police and the community. Those of you listening to us, rather, via different frequencies from the Copper Belt all the way to the tourist capital, Livingstone. My name is Evans Malasha, and welcome to Police and the Community. Today, we host Masala Police Victim Support Unit, Sergeant Mutombo Mwaka, as well as Inspector Kamhuza Axon, who, of course, are joining us to conversate around the topic of incest, something that a lot of us might think we know, but in actual fact, we don't, because we tie it to other things that is not, and that is what we hope to address in today's conversation with, police and the community. Good afternoon and welcome to Police and the Community, Sergeant and Inspector there.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon our listeners out there. Otherwise, we are happy to be here today.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
All right, so to break the ice, what is incest under the Zambian laws? Either of you could pick it up.
Yeah, sure. Basically, incest is an offense that is committed when a male offender, a male person, decides to have sexual intercourse with a relative. A relative, in this case, we are talking of for example, I sleep with my mother, or I sleep with my daughter, or I sleep with my niece. I have sex with my grandmother. Basically, we are talking of close blood relationship with a relative. When I have sex with a relative, with a close blood relationship, and then that is incest that we are talking about today. These cases are very, very common, and they happen within the family circles. And so we have decided that we come as police and engage our listeners out there, so that our listeners and our viewers out there, so that we enlighten each other. These are cases that are happening in our families, but then we are sorry for that. We are not reporting them, because they are happening in our families. We want to protect our family members. And so we want the listeners and our viewers out there to report these cases, because it is a crime. It's an offense, to sleep with a relative with a close blood relationship.
I did earlier allude that we've got Inspector Kamhuza Axon and Sergeant Mutombo Mwaka. Just maybe to clarify, who was responding to the question there, so that our listeners and viewers are able to know who that is.
I am Inspector Kamhuza. I'm coming from Masala Police Station. I'm in charge of a victim support unit at our station.
All right, thank you. So, Sergeant Mwaka, just to maybe understand the difference, as Inspector Kamhuza there earlier alluded to the fact that, under the Zambian laws, incest is having carnal knowledge with either your daughter or your mother and the likes. But then with your daughter, could that equally be defined as defilement plus incest? Maybe just try to tell us what the difference is between incest and defilement.
Okay, thank you so much. So there is a very big difference between incest and defilement. When we talk of incest, it cutters across the board as long as there's blood relationship. And then when we come to defilement, this is whereby there's age limit, and it cutters to children that have not attained 16 years, that are 15 years and below. So those children, if they are sexually abused and then there's no blood relationship, that is called defilement. And then if you sexually abuse a child, whether of the age of 15 and below the age of 16, you sexually abuse that child and then there's blood relationship, that becomes incest. That's the difference that is there.
Okay, and also maybe to add on that.
Oh, so now we do understand the difference between incest and defilement. If indeed you are convicted and found guilty of a case of incest, what is the possible punishment for incest, in the courts of law?
Okay, maybe before I answer that question, defilement, we are talking like Mwaka has explained. Defilement is all about if I have sex with a child below the age of 16 years. And so that is defilement. There's no blood relationship. There's no close blood relationship. That is defilement. But in incest, we are talking of close blood relationship, regardless of age. Yes. So it can be maybe below the age of 16 or above the age of 16, as long as there is close blood relationship, and that is incest. And so coming back to your question, the punishment for incest is that if you are found guilty, you are convicted by the court, you'll be sent to prison for not less than 20 years. So we are talking of 20 years and above. While in the case of defilement, we are talking of the minimum punishment is 15 years and above. So 15 years and above in a defilement case, and in an incest case, it is 20 years and above. Yeah, so that is the punishment for incest.
Well, I mean, today's conversation really is about incest, and we've looked at what incest is under the Zambian laws. We've looked at the difference between incest and defilement, and we've looked at the possible outcome in terms of the punishment if one is found guilty in the courts of law. This is police and the community. And of course, I do have Inspector Kamuhuza Aksun and Sergeant Mutombo Mwaka, who are from Masala Police Victim Support Unit, who are here to just expand more knowledge with regards to the conversation around incest. And so far, we are getting to be made, aware of what the possible punishments are, the differences, and what incest is. But now, one wonders why we are talking about this. Sergeant or Inspector, either of you could pick this one. Are cases of incest common, and are they reported to the police?
Maybe I'll start answering that question before Mwaka comes in. I can tell you incest cases are very, very common in our communities. But like I earlier alluded to, these are cases that are happening within family circles. And so we have cases that are coming to be reported to the police, but many of the cases, are not reported to the police because, family members feel that, they cannot report such cases to the police because how is the society going to look at them? And, they are afraid because, neighbors who despise them, community members, would despise them, and so they will rather decide to sit down and discuss these matters within the family themselves. They don't want to report cases to the police because they want to protect the perpetrators of these vices. And so we are here to encourage our listeners and our viewers out there that let them come to report these cases to the police so that we investigate them and bring the perpetrators to book.
Sergeant Mwaka?
Yeah, most cases are not reported because normally what happens is that you find that the perpetrators to these cases of incest are breadwinners of the families. So they would resort to like keeping things under the carpet because they know to say if this case is reported to the police station, the so-called breadwinner, if he's the father, the grandfather, the head of the house, will be arrested and the rest of the family is going to suffer. But we are overlooking the fact that the child that is involved, despite it not being a child, but that person involved, that female person involved in these cases of incest, will suffer an impact for the rest of her life. And you find that these people that are fond of like committing these offenses, they will repeat. You find that if today sleeps with a daughter, the next day you hear to say, no, there was a niece that they were keeping and she's pregnant, and she's failing to review who pregnanted her, not knowing to say the same father who had faced sexual abuse her own daughter has now turned to the niece. So the more we don't report these cases to the police station, we are giving an upper hand to these perpetrators to go ahead, continue committing these offenses at the expense of these vulnerable girl children, women suffering. It is a great impact that it affects their future. It will affect their marriage. It will affect their, even like them to come out, socialize with other people. It will be a difficult thing. So there's a very great impact if these cases are not reported. It's not just a matter of protecting the breadwinner or what. The government comes in at a certain point and supports these families that are affected in such vices. Thank you.
Oh, okay. All right, Sergeant Marco there. Inspector Kamhuza. Well, the question being, are these cases of incest common and reported to the police? I did see you earlier alluded to it as well as, Sergeant Mwaka Paten. Is there maybe anything you might have left out that you would want to add on before we wrap up today's conversation around our topic today being incest?
Oh, yes. I can tell you we have a few cases that are coming to the police regarding incest. But then we have challenges as police sometimes, when we are investigating these cases, because it involves family members. And at times, a matter is reported to the police, maybe by a neighbor who informs the police that there is an incest case that is happening in that family. And so you step in as police to do the investigations, and you find that the family members, like Mark has explained, you find that family members are there to protect these perpetrators. And so at times, we have advanced, have taken these matters to the court, and you find that matter is before court, and you go to get the witnesses so that you take them to court. You find that these witnesses have disappeared. And so there are challenges, when we are investigating these matters regarding, family members. There are some family members that are willing to cooperate with the police through our investigations. But most of family members, they are always there, to protect the perpetrators. And so we find challenges in prosecuting these matters. But then, like like Maka explained, the government has always stepped in to help the perpetrators. There's an impact, when a child, because most of the cases that we are receiving are involving children, that are being abused in their homes by maybe their parents, So you find that this perpetrator is being protected by other family members. But then the government comes in where we isolate this child. There are times when a matter has been reported to the police, and so we step in to get this child from the family. We isolate this family, go through social welfare, we involve our colleagues from social welfare, and they find shelter for such a child until when the matter is concluded in court and the perpetrator is punished and sent to prison. That's when we do the integration process, where we bring back this child to the family after undergoing counseling. Yeah. So otherwise... Well,
we are here because we are looking at a very uncomfortable conversation, which is incest. Is it common? Yes, it is. Is it reported to the police? Well, sometimes.
Yes, sometimes.
As earlier alluded to by Inspector Kamhuza and the Sergeant Mwaka. But for you as the police, apart from, the challenges of dealing with cases of incest, being family either withdrawing or family not actually reporting beyond the common norm, which is that. Are there any other challenges first, further than that, by the police, especially in dealing with cases of incest, perhaps in a situation where it involves a father and daughter?
Oh yes, like I explained, it's a complex matter. Sometimes when we are dealing with incest cases, especially where a father is involved. But I can assure you there are so many stakeholders that come on board, when we are doing such investigations. We always isolate these children from their homes, so that, because our fear is that when we allow this child that has been abused, sexually by the father, when we leave this child with the relatives become compromised, and you find that, they start shielding the perpetrator. When we ask them to give statements, to the police, they are always not willing to give statements to the police. They are not willing to cooperate with the police through their investigations. And so these are some of the challenges that we encounter when we are dealing with cases involving family members. But I can tell you, we are always doing our best, and this is why we are going out there to sensitize our listeners out there. We are going out there in schools, in communities, so that we engage, the community members, so that we talk to them, we tell them about the consequences of shielding these perpetrators, so when they shield, like Mwaka explained, when you shield a perpetrator, today this perpetrator is sleeping with their own daughter. Tomorrow, they will sleep with another child, and you find that maybe this perpetrator has HIV and AIDS, and so he will continue spreading that disease to other children. And so this is why we are appealing to our listeners that they come on board, so that we work together. We cannot work in isolation as police. We want the community members, to come on board, so that we partner and see how best we can help the victims of incest, so that the perpetrators.
Inspector Kamuza, maybe let's get a few calls from our listeners and viewers there in regards to our conversation today, just to maybe make a few more clarifications rather, as this is police and the community. Our conversation is on incest. Do give us a call, 0955 855 953. We do have Sergeant Mutombo Mwaka, as well as Inspector Kamuhuza Axon, who are from Masala Police Victim Support Unit, and we are conversating around incest. Do give us a call. Good afternoon. You're through to Sun FM Police in the Community.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Great. Who's on the line?
This is Miss K from Lansha.
Miss K, please do go ahead. What's your contribution or question?
Yes, I have a contribution. I'm a teacher at a certain school.
Yes.
Now, there was a child. There was an issue of incest, just as you were saying.
Yes.
There was an issue of incest. The child, it's like the uncle was doing that to the child, and then the child reported to the auntie. Then the auntie told the child to say, don't tell anyone. Then, I don't know, the child, for some reason, she told the teacher. Then they tried to call the child, but the problem was the auntie told the child to say, don't tell anyone. And the problem is this man is a police officer.
Wow.
Right here in Luansha. Now the problem, the child was called. They tried to talk to her. She said, "No, this if you confront this person, he's a breadwinner. He's the one who takes care of us. What? He's a police officer at Luansha Central Police Station. It's on that I'm not sure about the details or about his name also. So the case ended just like that.
All right, Mrs. K, thank you for coming through.
Thank you very much.
All right. We can pick one last one, 0955 855 953. In the interest of time, we do have, of course, Inspector Kamuhuza Axon and Mutombo Mwaka, Sergeant of Masala Police Victim Support Unit, and we are conversating around incest today on Police at the Community. 0955 855 953. That is the number you are calling me on. If you do have a relation in terms of the conversation or an inquiry or a contribution in that regard, that is 0955 855 953. Anyway, we will pick the call if it does actually do come through. All right, we do have a caller there. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Fine, fine. Thank you from Chabombwe.
Mr. Duncan, please do go ahead.
Thanks. I just want to find out how far if they're going in the issue of drug addictives to the youth.
Pardon?
I just find out everybody is for youth fee.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, Mr. Duncan. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
All right. Inspector Kamuza there and Sergeant Mwaka, as we wrap up our program, I think Ms. K's question is really relating to the fact that even police themselves are not immune to fall victim to cases of incest, and as such, do we see the police shielding their own in such cases, or do we see the law taking its course? In responding to that, please do bear in mind that we do not have enough time on our hands.
Yes.
But I think Inspector Kamuza, you can pick that one up first.
Yes, maybe quickly, regardless of who has committed this crime, be it a police officer, it's not above the law. There's no one who's above the law. When such crimes are committed, that is why we have always, sensitized our listeners there that when you see that people are being shielded, we have got leaders. We have got the officer in charge at that police station. We have got the officer commanding at in that district. We have also the commissioner of police for Copperbelt. I can tell you when they are engaged, they are not there to shield whoever is a perpetrator of such. Our leaders are not there to protect such people.
I can't hear anything.
Okay, so I was saying that our leaders, we have got within the police service, we have got leaders. We have got the officer in charge at the police station level. We have got the officer commanding at district level. And I don't think the officer commanding of that district or the officer in charge can be able to shield the perpetrator regardless of who he is. Be it a police officer, I can tell you he cannot be protected. Yes, we have so many police officers that have committed crime and they have been prosecuted. How about that officer who committed that crime? I can tell you our leaders are not there to protect police officers, no.
Sergeant Mwaka?
All that I can say is these cases are happening, and us shielding or harboring information, not reporting cases to police stations, we are just putting the victims that are involved at a higher risk of either contracting HIV and AIDS or having pregnancies that will have fathers that will not even take full responsibility of their consequences. So we are just appealing out there to the listeners to say, once you've heard of someone abusing a child within a home, take a first step to report so that that child can be medically examined. HIV and AIDS can be prevented from being transmitted from the perpetrator to the victim. We can also prevent that child from falling pregnant from an uncle, a father, as long as it is within the time that is stipulated. But if you keep quiet, you sit as a family, you expect to resolve issues, the next thing after 3 months, it will be a pregnancy that will not be terminated. And to say as a result, those children that are born out of those pregnancies, there are some of these children that will not grow like just a normal child. So let us help these victims of incest.
Yeah.
We have been conversating around the topic incest. This is police and the community. We do have Inspector Kamuza Axon as well as Sergeant Mutombo Mwaka from Masala Police Victim Support Unit. Your concluding remarks with regards to today's conversation around incest. I think let's start with Sergeant Mwaka there.
My last remarks to listeners out there is that we are here to work together with the community. Our plea is that whatever that happens out there in those homes, we don't get to know. So we are entirely depending on the people out there. So the minute you hear to say there's this offense, this father pregnanted this child, please come to us so that we can come in, we can help out, and we can save a life of any child. We understand this time children are committing suicide because they are now fed up. They don't want this to continue happening. And as a result, you find that a 13-year-old child was abused by the father, goes, buys doom, commits suicide because the family is sitting on it. Let us try to help these victims. Thank you.
Inspector Kamuza?
Yes, let's work together, our listeners and the police. Let's work together and see how best we can protect our, our people, our citizens in the country. Yes, we cannot work in isolation. Yeah, so we are depending on the people out there, the listeners out there, to partner with the police so that we can fight crime. Thank you very much.
Today's conversation has been around incest, what incest is under the Zambian laws, what the difference between incest and defilement is, the possible outcome in terms of punishments if a case of incest is found guilty in the courts of law, if indeed cases of incest are common and are they reported to the police, and of course the challenges that the police has been facing in dealing with these cases of incest. And indeed, we did have Inspector Kamuza Axon and Sergeant Mutombo Mwaka of Masala Police Victim Support Unit, who joined us on police and the community just to shed more light on this particular conversation and indeed clarify, as in Tangayami there, Kamuza Axon Inspector did say that there are bigger people that will make sure that no one is harbored if indeed they commit that crime. Well, that's what we had for you with regards to today's edition of Police and the Community. My name is Evans Malasha. Good afternoon.
Sheila na jump in a mix, yeah. Ready to move, you not stop, drop. Ready to drink.